It was supposed to be a story about redemption and truth. Instead, it became one of the darkest and most heartbreaking chapters in The Bold and the Beautiful's history. A love destroyed, a crime covered in silence, and one letter that shattered the soul of every viewer. This time, it isn't about betrayal, it's about broken innocence, guilt, and the unbearable cost of loving someone too much. For months, fans suspected something was wrong with Luna Nozawa, her behavior, her obsession, her unpredictable emotional swings. But no one imagined the horror that would unfold behind closed doors. One night, when Will Spencer was at his lowest, Luna crossed a line no one could ever forgive. What she called a moment of passion was in truth something darker, something Will never consented to. He didn't love her. He never wanted this. And yet, when the truth came to light, Luna was already pregnant. The entire Spencer and Logan families were thrown into chaos. Katie Logan demanded a DNA test, hoping desperately that this nightmare wasn't real. Bridget Forrester was called in to conduct it, promising absolute honesty. But when the results arrived, everything collapsed. The baby was Will's, and in that instant, love died. The moment Bridget Forrester uttered the words, "The father is Will Spencer," time seemed to stop. The air inside the Spencer mansion turned to ice, silence louder than thunder, pain sharper than glass. Electra stood frozen, her heart pounding so violently she could barely breathe. She had built her entire world around this man, the man she believed in when no one else did. To her, Will was good. He was gentle. He was incapable of cruelty. He was the one person she trusted beyond question. But now, standing under the weight of that truth, her entire reality began to shatter. Will hadn't betrayed her, he'd been violated, used, broken, and the woman responsible was carrying his child. Bridget's voice faded into a distant echo as Electra's vision blurred. The letter in Bridget's hand, the papers, the whispers, they all dissolved into nothing. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Her knees weakened, her body trembling under the magnitude of the truth. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply broke. For Will, words felt useless. What could he say? That he never wanted this? That he still loved her? That he wished the DNA test had been wrong? Electra didn't need him to explain. She saw it in his eyes, the shame, the pain, the silent apology. Because sometimes, love doesn't die from betrayal, it dies from helplessness. The next morning, the house was eerily quiet. No one had seen Electra since the night before. Her phone was off, her room empty. But on the kitchen counter, beside a half-finished cup of coffee and a single rose petal, lay an envelope. Katie was the one who found it. Her fingers shook as she read the name written in delicate, trembling handwriting, for Will. The moment Will saw it, he froze. He knew. Somehow, deep down, he already knew what it contained. Inside was a letter, handwritten on cream paper, smudged slightly as though touched by tears. There was no bitterness, no accusation. Only the raw, quiet ache of goodbye. To the man I will always love, I don't blame you. You didn't choose this. You never wanted any of it, and I know your heart is breaking. But I can't stay and watch you suffer, not like this. You deserve peace, even if I'll never find mine. Maybe someday, when the pain fades, you'll think of me, not as the woman who left, but as the woman who loved you enough to walk away. Electra. Katie couldn't finish reading without her voice cracking. Tears streamed down her face as she handed the letter to Will. Bill Spencer stood silently nearby, his expression unreadable. For once, even his power meant nothing. Will sat down, clutching the letter to his chest, whispering a single word through trembling lips, "Why?" But the answer would never come. Because sometimes, goodbye doesn't mean moving on. It means disappearing. In the days that followed, Will Spencer became a ghost of himself. He stopped answering calls. He stopped working. He barely spoke. The world outside went on as usual, but for him, everything had ended the moment Electra's letter was found. He couldn't forgive Luna, not for what she did, and not for what she turned his life into. Every time she appeared at the door, begging for forgiveness, his body would tense, his eyes filled with fury and disbelief. He saw not a woman, but the embodiment of everything he lost. The child growing inside her became a cruel, living reminder of the night that stole his dignity, his peace, and his love. Every heartbeat of that unborn baby echoed like punishment. Luna tried to justify her actions. She said she didn't mean it, that it was confusion, emotion, love gone too far. But Will knew better. Love never comes from force. Love never leaves scars like this. Bill Spencer wanted justice, he wanted Luna out of their lives forever. But even he knew the law would twist the story. The world would never fully understand a man's silence, his shame. So Will said nothing. He withdrew. Because for him, the damage wasn't something that could be fixed in court. It was carved into his soul. When he stood alone at night, staring at Electra's photo, tears would fall freely for the first time. He whispered into the dark, "I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you." And for the first time, Will Spencer, the man who once carried so much strength, broke completely. No one truly knows where Electra went after that night, and maybe that's what makes her story so haunting. She left without warning. No luggage, no phone calls, no trail. Just a quiet goodbye written on paper, and the echo of her words still lingering in the air. I just want peace. Some say she boarded a flight to Italy under an assumed name, retreating to a small villa along the Amalfi Coast, a place where no one knows her name, where she could finally breathe without being haunted by the past. Others claim a local gas station clerk saw her car heading north, swallowed by the fog along the Pacific Highway. A lone vehicle, taillights vanishing into the darkness, like a soul crossing into another world. But those who knew Electra best, Katie, Brooke, and even Will, can't shake a darker fear. Katie tries to believe she only needed time. She's strong, she insists. She just needs to heal. Brooke, however, fears otherwise. To her, Electra's calm wasn't peace, it was surrender. And Will, he prays every night that she's still alive. That she's out there somewhere, safe, maybe even watching him from afar. But every time he closes his eyes, he hears her voice, soft, broken, final. Because deep down, Will knows the truth that everyone else avoids. When someone loves that deeply, when they lose that completely, peace isn't always found in living. Sometimes, it's found in letting go. And that's what terrifies him most, that Electra's goodbye wasn't temporary. It was eternal. This storyline is more than shocking, it's revolutionary. The Bold and the Beautiful has never been afraid of exploring taboo themes, but this arc pushed the limits of what daytime drama can handle. It wasn't just about betrayal or infidelity. It was about violation, about a man stripped of control, and the emotional fallout that followed. Luna's actions shattered the line between passion and cruelty. She didn't make a mistake, she made a choice. And that choice left an unerasable scar, not only on Will, but on everyone who loved him. For Will Spencer, this is the hardest journey of his life. Once a man full of warmth and confidence, he now lives in quiet torment, trapped between the innocence of the child he never wanted and the guilt of knowing that life was created through pain. Each day is survival. Each night, a war between rage and grief. For Electra, her story became one of ultimate sacrifice. Her departure wasn't weakness, it was a final act of love. She couldn't save him, but she also couldn't bear to watch him suffer. She gave him freedom by disappearing. And for Luna, her descent is almost Shakespearean. She has become her own curse, consumed by guilt, delusion, and the crushing weight of what she's done. No amount of apologies or explanations can cleanse her soul. The show has delivered a gut punch of realism. This is no longer about who loves whom, it's about survival after emotional devastation. And as whispers spread about Electra's possible fate, fans are left wondering, will her name return in future scripts, or only in eulogies? Luna destroyed love. Electra's final letter broke everyone's heart. Isn't just a headline, it's a scar that will linger across the canvas of the bold and the beautiful for years to come. It's a story about the fragility of trust, the permanence of pain, and the quiet tragedy of a love that couldn't be saved. Will and Electra's story began like so many others in Los Angeles, two souls drawn together in the chaos of wealth, beauty, and fame. But the ending was unlike any the city had ever seen. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't revenge. It was heartbreak in its purest, most devastating form. Will's journey from victim to survivor will define him. The way he chooses to face fatherhood, grief, and guilt will determine whether he ever finds peace again. Electra's absence, her letter, her silence, will become the ghost haunting every storyline that follows. And Luna, once the bright and fragile outsider, has now become the face of unforgivable obsession. In the end, no one walks away untouched. Not Katie, who must live with her fear. Not Bill, who must accept that money and power can't protect his family from moral ruin. Not even the audience, who watched love crumble before their eyes and felt their own hearts crack in the process. Because in the bold and the beautiful, beauty is a facade, love is a weapon, and truth always arrives too late. And sometimes, the most unforgettable love stories are not the ones that end in reunion, but the ones that end in silence.